"Pick anything you want," he said, until his daughters said, "We want that Apache woman as our mom." After losing his wife, the joy he once found in simple things had dimmed, and the laughter that had filled their home now felt like a distant memory. He looked at his two daughters, Anna and Lily, and felt a deep ache in his heart. They were his world, yet even their laughter sometimes reminded him of what was missing. Raising two children alone was far harder than he had ever anticipated. There were mornings when he barely had time to make breakfast before rushing them to school, afternoons filled with homework help and chores, and nights where he sat alone in the living room, replaying memories that felt both sweet and painful. Despite the challenges, John tried his best. He cooked what he could, fixed broken toys, and read bedtime stories in his uneven voice. The children never complained, but he knew they noticed the absence of someone who could comfort them in the way a mother could. John was a loving father, but he had limits. Some days he could barely keep up with their endless questions, their playful fights, and their bursts of energy. Yet he adored them beyond measure. He often wondered if he was doing enough, if somehow the void in their lives could ever be filled again. One sunny morning, after a particularly restless night, John decided to do something different. He had been thinking a lot about how to bring happiness into his daughters' lives. He remembered how his wife used to surprise them with small gifts, trips to the park, or simply time spent together with laughter and care. He wanted to give his daughters a sense of choice, a way to express their wishes freely without restrictions or limits. After a few moments of thought, he called them to the living room. "Girls," he said gently, "I want you to pick anything you want today, anything at all. No matter how big or small, I will try to make it happen." Anna and Lily looked at him with wide eyes, their curiosity and excitement instantly visible. This was unusual. Their father was usually so busy with work, cooking, cleaning, and fixing things around the house that they rarely got such attention. For a moment, they were silent, trying to process the unexpected freedom he had given them. They whispered to each other, their tiny hands clutching at each other with a mix of excitement and anticipation. John waited patiently, leaning back in his chair, unsure of what the girls would say. He imagined them asking for toys, dolls, candy, or perhaps a day out to the park. But he also knew that sometimes children's imaginations went far beyond what adults expected. He had learned over the years not to underestimate their minds, for their wishes often came from a place of innocence and deep understanding of the heart. After a thoughtful pause, Anna, the older of the two, spoke first. "Daddy, we want that Apache woman as our mom." John blinked, completely taken aback. He had not anticipated this at all. The words hung in the air, echoing in the quiet living room. He looked at the girls, trying to hide the confusion on his face. "Apache woman. Which one?" he asked, careful to keep his voice calm, though inside he felt a whirlwind of emotions. "She works in town, Daddy. The kind lady with the soft smile and beautiful stories," Lily added quickly, her eyes shining with excitement. "The one who tells us about her life and teaches us new things." John took a deep breath. He remembered her instantly. Mary, an Apache woman, had lived in their town for many years. She was known for her gentle nature, her wisdom, and her ability to connect with children in a way few adults could. She volunteered at the library, helped organize community events, and often shared small lessons of life with those around her. He had seen her interacting with children, listening to their questions patiently, and teaching them in a way that was both kind and inspiring. John had admired her from a distance, but had never imagined that his daughters would notice her in such a heartfelt way. He scratched his head, unsure how to respond. "Girls, you can't just pick someone to be your mom," he said carefully, trying not to laugh or seem dismissive. "Being a mom isn't something you can choose like a toy or a treat." Anna's expression grew serious. "But Daddy, we want her. She's kind and smart, and she understands things. She's everything we miss, everything we need." John felt a lump in his throat. Their words were innocent yet full of wisdom beyond their years. They were not asking for something superficial. They were asking for love, care, guidance, and presence. Suddenly, he realized that this wish was not just a child's fantasy. It was a reflection of their deep need for comfort and stability. He leaned back in his chair, rubbing his face. The truth was, he had thought about this himself, though never so directly. He had admired Mary's qualities, her patience, and the way she seemed to radiate warmth and understanding. Could it really be possible for her to be involved in their lives more closely? He did not know, but for the first time in months, he felt a spark of hope. The girls sat quietly, sensing his inner struggle. They were not pushy or demanding. They simply waited with trust, believing that their father would understand. Their faith touched John deeply. He realized that this moment was more than a choice. It was an opportunity to bring joy back into their home, to fill the silence and the empty spaces with laughter, love, and guidance once again. That afternoon, John decided to do something brave. He wrote a note to Mary, asking if she could meet him and his daughters at the local park. He kept it simple, explaining that the girls admired her and that he wanted to explore ways she could be part of their lives. As he sent the note, he felt a mixture of excitement and nervousness. The girls jumped up and down with anticipation, their eyes wide and smiles bright. For the first time in months, the house felt alive again. The quiet was replaced by chatter, laughter, and dreams of what could happen next. John watched his daughters' faces, seeing the hope and trust shining in their eyes. He felt a renewed sense of purpose. Maybe, just maybe, this unusual wish could lead to something beautiful. Something that would bring warmth and happiness back into their lives. And so, in that quiet living room, a new chapter of their lives began. It was filled with uncertainty, yes, but also with the promise of love, connection, and the possibility of family in a form they had never imagined before. John knew the journey ahead would not be easy, but seeing the pure joy and hope in Anna and Lily's eyes gave him the courage to take the first step. The next morning, John woke up with a mixture of excitement and nervousness. He had never done anything quite like this before. He kept thinking about Mary, the Apache woman his daughters had asked for, and he wondered how she would react to his unusual request. He was stepping into unfamiliar territory, but he knew it was important for his daughters' happiness. Anna and Lily, on the other hand, could hardly contain their excitement. They kept talking about Mary, describing her kindness, her stories, and the way she always seemed to understand people's feelings. Their chatter filled the house, turning what was once a quiet, somber morning into one full of energy and hope. John prepared breakfast with extra care, trying to distract himself from his nervous thoughts. As he cooked, the girls sat at the table, bouncing on their chairs, eagerly asking questions about what might happen. "Do you think she will say yes, Daddy?" Lily asked, her eyes wide with anticipation. John paused and smiled softly. "I don't know, sweetie. But we'll meet her and find out. Sometimes people need time to think before they make a decision." Anna nodded, understanding more than her years would suggest. "We just want her to know how much we like her, Daddy. That's all. She doesn't have to say yes right away." Their words touched him deeply. They were so innocent, so trusting. They didn't demand anything. They simply expressed their feelings openly, and John realized how much wisdom children could hold in their pure hearts. He felt a surge of gratitude for having them in his life. After breakfast, they all got ready to meet Mary at the local park. John drove carefully, his mind racing with questions. Would Mary think he was crazy? Would she feel uncomfortable? Would she even want to be involved in their lives? Despite his doubts, he reminded himself that this meeting was just a step, a way to open the door to possibilities. When they arrived at the park, Mary was already there, sitting on a bench and watching the children play. She had a calm presence, her eyes warm and welcoming. John's heart sank and soared at the same time. She looked exactly as he remembered, kind, patient, and gentle, but he wasn't sure what she would say when he approached her. He walked over slowly, his daughters following closely behind. "Hello, Mary," he said, trying to keep his voice steady. "I hope I'm not disturbing you." Mary looked up, her face breaking into a smile. "Not at all, John. It's always nice to see you and the girls. How are you?" John hesitated, then took a deep breath. "Actually, there's something I want to talk to you about. It's a little unusual." Mary tilted her head, her curiosity evident. "I'm listening," she said softly, her tone encouraging. John explained everything from the girls' request to his hope that Mary might spend more time with them. He spoke honestly, unsure how to phrase his words, but wanting to be sincere. Mary listened carefully, her eyes never leaving his. She nodded occasionally, showing that she understood but didn't interrupt or judge. When John finished, he took a deep breath and glanced at his daughters. Anna and Lily were standing quietly, holding each other's hands, their eyes fixed on Mary. Their expressions were a mixture of hope, nervousness, and excitement. They were waiting for her response, but they didn't say a word, trusting that she would understand. Mary smiled softly. "John, I'm honored by your trust and the girls' feelings," she began. "I can see how much they care about me, and it's very touching. I must admit, I didn't expect this, but I'm willing to spend time with you all. I can teach them, guide them, and share stories, but we must take it one step at a time." The girls' faces lit up instantly. "Really, Mary, you'll spend time with us?" Anna asked, her voice trembling with joy. "Yes," Mary said gently. "I'll be happy to, but remember, being a mother isn't just about saying yes. It's about love, patience, and learning together. We can start small and see where it goes." John felt a wave of relief. He had expected hesitation, maybe even refusal, but Mary's response was warm and thoughtful. It was exactly what the girls needed, and exactly what he needed too. For the first time in months, he felt a sense of hope, as if the heavy weight on his chest had been lifted slightly. Over the next few weeks, Mary began visiting their home regularly. At first, it was small things, helping with homework, reading bedtime stories, or simply sitting with the girls while they talked about their day. The children quickly warmed to her presence. They laughed more, played more, and even helped around the house with little chores. It was as if a new light had entered their home, filling spaces that had felt empty for too long. Mary also shared her Apache heritage with them, teaching them simple songs, stories, and traditions. She didn't overwhelm them with complex lessons, but instead shared what felt natural and engaging. The girls were fascinated, asking endless questions about her culture, her life, and her experiences. John watched silently, amazed at how much joy and learning had returned to his home. He also noticed changes in himself. Seeing his daughters, happiness reminded him of the love and laughter he had once taken for granted. He realized that even though he had tried to do his best as a single father, having someone like Mary in their lives made everything feel more complete. He was not just grateful for her presence, he was learning from her too. One afternoon, as they all sat together in the living room, Mary told the girls a story about her childhood. She spoke about the importance of kindness, respect, and understanding. Anna and Lily listened intently, their eyes wide, absorbing every word. John sat quietly, feeling a mixture of admiration and relief. He understood that the girls weren't just forming a bond with Mary, they were learning lessons that would stay with them for life. The bond between Mary and the children grew steadily. They began to see her as a guide, a friend, and eventually someone they could trust completely. John noticed how naturally the girls gravitated towards her, how comfortable they were in sharing their thoughts and feelings. It was a beautiful transformation, one that filled his heart with joy and pride. John also started to form a connection with Mary. They shared conversations about parenting, life challenges, and dreams for the future. Though their relationship was still new and cautious, there was a growing sense of partnership. He realized that family could take many forms and that love and care were more important than labels or traditional expectations. The girls, of course, were the happiest of all. They laughed freely, shared secrets, and asked Mary countless questions about everything, from the stars in the sky to the stories of her ancestors. John often found himself smiling quietly, amazed at how much joy had returned to his home. For the first time in a long while, he felt the sense of family he had longed for. Even the neighbors began to notice the change. The once quiet, somber house now seemed warm and welcoming. Children played in the yard, and laughter echoed through the rooms. People would often comment on the girls' happiness and how Mary had brought a new energy into their lives. John felt a quiet satisfaction, knowing that what had started as a simple wish from his daughters had blossomed into something meaningful and lasting. Looking back, John realized that the girls' wish for Mary as their mother had not been about replacing anyone. It was about filling a gap, about finding someone who could bring guidance, care, and love into their lives. Mary's presence didn't erase the memory of their late mother, it complemented it, creating a new chapter of happiness, learning, and togetherness. By the end of the first few months, John understood something important. Family was not defined only by birth, but by love, trust, and shared experiences. Mary had become more than a friend or helper. She had become a steady presence, a source of wisdom, and a guiding light for both him and his daughters. And so, what began as a surprising wish from two innocent children became the start of a journey of connection, understanding, and the quiet beauty of forming a family in a way no one had expected. John knew there would still be challenges ahead, but with Mary by their side, the future felt bright and full of promise. Over the next few days, John noticed a change in both himself and his daughters. The house, once quiet and filled with echoes of past sadness, was now buzzing with laughter, chatter, and the soft footsteps of two excited children. Anna and Lily had grown accustomed to Mary's presence. She visited almost every day, not as a guest, but as someone who naturally belonged there. Her calm, warm personality brought balance to the household, and her gentle guidance seemed to give the girls confidence they had not shown in months. John, though still cautious, found himself looking forward to her visits. He admired the way Mary interacted with the girls, her patience, her kindness, and the way she could explain complicated ideas in simple, relatable ways. She didn't just tell stories. She taught lessons about life, respect, and kindness without making them feel like lessons at all. The girls would absorb everything eagerly, asking questions, laughing at her jokes, and sometimes just sitting quietly, content to be near her. One afternoon, John decided it was time to take a small step forward. He asked Mary if she would like to join them for a family outing. It was a casual invitation, just a picnic at the nearby park, but it represented a larger gesture of inclusion. He wanted the girls to see her not only as a teacher or friend, but as part of their family. Mary agreed, smiling warmly, and the girls squealed with excitement at the news. The day of the picnic was bright and clear, with sunlight filtering gently through the trees. Anna and Lily ran ahead to spread a blanket on the grass, while John and Mary followed, carrying a basket filled with sandwiches, fruits, and homemade treats. The girls had packed small surprises of their own, a flower crown for Mary, a hand-drawn picture, and a collection of stones from the garden. They had carefully chosen these items, hoping to show their appreciation for her and to make her feel welcome. Mary knelt down to receive the flower crown first, laughing softly as the girls gently placed it on her head. "This is beautiful," she said, her voice full of warmth. "You two have made my day." Anna and Lily beamed, their faces glowing with pride and happiness. John watched quietly, feeling a mixture of relief and joy. Seeing Mary interact with his daughters in such a natural, loving way made him realize that this connection was more than just temporary. It was real and meaningful. After the picnic, Mary and the girls played games, ran around the park, and explored the small pond nearby. She encouraged them to look closely at nature, teaching them about birds, plants, and the small creatures that lived around them. Her teachings were gentle but filled with wonder, sparking the girls' curiosity and imagination. John noticed that they were learning not just from her words but from her example, how she treated the world with respect, care, and attention. As the afternoon sun began to set, they sat together on the blanket, tired but happy. The girls leaned against Mary, and John felt a warmth in his chest he hadn't felt in a long time. He realized that the bond forming between Mary and the children was deeper than he had expected. It wasn't just about fulfilling a wish. It was about building trust, love, and a sense of security that they had all been missing. Mary took a deep breath and spoke softly. "I've always believed that family isn't only about who gives birth to you or who lives with you. It's about who supports you, who teaches you, and who loves you without conditions. And from what I see, you two already have a lot of love in your hearts." Anna and Lily looked up at her, their eyes wide. "So you think we can be like a real family?" Anna asked, her voice hopeful but cautious. Mary smiled gently. "Family can take many forms. Sometimes it's about blood and sometimes it's about love and care. What matters is that you are there for each other, that you trust and respect one another. That's what makes a family strong." John felt tears prick his eyes. He had heard these words before in different ways, but hearing them from Mary in front of his daughters made them feel real and powerful. He realized that this was exactly what his children needed, a sense of belonging, guidance, and unconditional support. And he knew that he, too, would benefit from this new form of family. Over the next few weeks, Mary's involvement in their lives deepened. She helped with daily routines, taught the girls about responsibility, and encouraged them to express their feelings openly. She even showed John some of her own household tips, which made life a little easier and a lot more organized. The girls began to take initiative in small ways, learning from Mary's calm and thoughtful approach. One evening, as they all sat together reading a story, Anna asked Mary about her childhood. "What was it like growing up in your family?" she asked, curiosity sparkling in her eyes. Mary smiled, looking thoughtful. "It was different in some ways, but also very similar to yours. My family taught me to be strong, kind, and respectful. We celebrated simple joys and we always looked out for one another. Those lessons shaped who I am today." Lily's eyes widened. "So, you know how to be a mom?" she asked innocently. Mary laughed softly, shaking her head. "I know how to care for children and teach them, but being a mom is something very special. It's about patience, understanding, and love. And it's something we can learn together, one day at a time." The girls nodded, understanding more than they could express. They had already felt the love and care she offered, and they knew that this bond was something rare and precious. John watched silently, feeling a profound sense of gratitude. Mary was not just helping raise his children. She was teaching them life lessons, offering comfort, and showing them how to navigate the world with wisdom and kindness. As the weeks turned into months, the house transformed in ways John had never imagined. Where there had once been silence and loneliness, there was now laughter, warmth, and energy. The girls woke up excited, eager to share their day and experiences with Mary. Even small challenges, homework struggles, disagreements between the girls, or household chores were met with patience and guidance, and the atmosphere was filled with love rather than stress. John also noticed changes in himself. He felt lighter, happier, and more confident in his role as a father. Having Mary involved did not make him feel less important. It made him feel supported, understood, and appreciated. He learned to trust her judgment and respected her advice, seeing the positive impact it had on his daughters. Slowly, he realized that this partnership, built on mutual respect and care, was becoming the foundation of a new kind of family, one that was stronger, warmer, and filled with hope. One weekend, John took the girls and Mary on a short trip to a nearby lake. It was a small adventure, nothing extravagant, but it gave them time to bond outside the routine of daily life. They collected pebbles by the shore, skipped stones, and told stories as the sun set behind the mountains. Mary shared legends from her Apache heritage, and the girls listened with rapt attention, asking questions and imagining themselves in the stories. John watched quietly, feeling a sense of fulfillment he had not known in years. As they packed up to leave, Anna hugged Mary tightly. "Thank you for today," she whispered. "We're so happy you're with us." Mary hugged her back gently. "I'm happy to be with you too. Remember, love and care are what keep us together. That's the heart of family." Driving home, John glanced at his daughters in the backseat, their faces glowing with contentment. He realized that their unusual wish had led to something extraordinary. It had brought Mary into their lives, yes, but it had also opened a path to healing, happiness, and a new understanding of what family truly meant. He smiled softly to himself, thinking about the future. Challenges would come, as they always did, but with Mary by their side, he knew that the girls would have guidance, love, and stability. And for the first time in a long while, John felt a quiet certainty that their family, though unconventional, was real, strong, and full of promise. As time passed, the bond between Mary and John's daughters grew stronger. What had started as a simple wish from two innocent children had become a meaningful part of their everyday lives. Mary was no longer just a visitor. She had become someone the girls looked up to, trusted completely, and relied upon. Her presence filled their home with a sense of warmth and security that had been missing for so long. Anna and Lily began to look forward to her visits more than anything else. They loved sitting with Mary as she taught them about her Apache heritage, stories, songs, and small lessons about life. Each tale carried meaning, often leaving the girls thoughtful for hours afterward. Mary had a way of explaining things that made life seem simpler yet full of depth. She didn't just give them answers. She helped them find answers for themselves, encouraging curiosity and understanding. John noticed how the girls' behavior and confidence were changing. Anna, who had been shy and hesitant in school, began participating in class more confidently. Lily, who sometimes struggled to express her feelings, now spoke freely about her thoughts and emotions. Mary's gentle guidance helped the girls feel valued and heard, something that had been difficult for them during the long months after their mother's passing. One afternoon, while the girls were doing homework, Mary suggested a small activity. "Why don't we create a family tree?" she said. "It doesn't have to be perfect, just a way to understand who we are and the people who care about us." John smiled at the idea. It was thoughtful, creative, and educational, a perfect way to engage the girls. Anna and Lily jumped at the idea, excitedly gathering paper, markers, and crayons. Mary sat with them at the kitchen table, guiding them gently as they drew names and faces, asking questions about their family history. It was a fun activity, but also a meaningful one, helping the girls connect with their past while embracing the new family they were forming. As they worked, the conversation turned deeper. Anna asked Mary about her own parents, her childhood, and the lessons she had learned. Mary shared stories of her family, her upbringing, and the values that had shaped her life. She emphasized respect, kindness, and courage, qualities that resonated with the girls immediately. Lily listened intently, her eyes wide with curiosity, occasionally asking thoughtful questions that revealed her growing understanding of life. John watched silently, feeling a mixture of pride and gratitude. Mary's presence had brought not just guidance but also inspiration. The girls were learning important lessons, and he realized that her influence extended far beyond what he could provide alone. He began to understand that having someone like Mary in their lives was not about replacing their mother. It was about creating a new kind of support, someone who could complement the love they already had. Over the following weeks, Mary's role in their daily lives became even more natural. She helped with morning routines, prepared small snacks for the girls, and even joined John in simple household chores. The girls began to take initiative, inspired by Mary's example. They helped set the table, cleaned up after themselves, and even created little surprises for her, such as handmade cards or small drawings. Every gesture of love and appreciation strengthened the bond they shared. One evening, John came home from work to find Mary and the girls sitting in the living room, building a miniature model of a traditional Apache home. Anna and Lily were focused, carefully placing tiny pieces together, while Mary guided them with patience. The scene warmed John's heart. It was more than just a project. It was a symbol of connection, learning, and shared effort. Mary looked up at John and smiled. "The girls are doing wonderfully. They're learning not only about culture but also about teamwork, patience, and creativity," she said softly. John nodded, feeling a sense of relief. "I can see that. You've brought something really special into our lives, Mary. I don't know how we would have managed without you." Mary shook her head gently. "John, it's not about managing. It's about growing together, learning from each other, and creating a home filled with love. You've been doing a wonderful job. I'm just here to help guide them, and sometimes you too." The girls giggled at Mary's gentle teasing, feeling the warmth and safety of the moment. It was these small, simple times that created the strongest bonds. They laughed, shared stories, and enjoyed each other's company, creating memories that would last a lifetime. As the seasons changed, so did the rhythm of their lives. Summer days were filled with trips to the park, picnics, and exploring nature. Mary taught the girls how to identify different plants and animals, and John joined in, learning alongside them. They would spend hours walking along trails, collecting leaves, and talking about the beauty of the world around them. The children's laughter echoed through the trees, and John felt a sense of peace he hadn't experienced in years. In autumn, they enjoyed cozy evenings by the fireplace, reading stories, and sharing experiences from their day. Mary introduced the girls to traditional Apache songs and stories that celebrated family, courage, and community. Anna and Lily listened, enchanted, and often sang along, their voices blending with Mary's gentle melodies. John felt grateful for these moments, realizing how important they were for the children's emotional growth and sense of identity. One particularly quiet evening, as the family sat together drinking hot chocolate, Mary spoke about values she held dear. "Family," she said softly, "is not just about being related by blood. It's about supporting one another, being honest, and showing love even when things are difficult. It's about standing together in good times and bad." Anna and Lily nodded thoughtfully, absorbing her words. John felt the weight of her message. Mary was not only teaching them practical skills and cultural stories, she was guiding them in the ways of life itself. Her presence was shaping their hearts and minds in profound ways. As winter approached, the family began planning small activities for the holidays. Mary encouraged the girls to create handmade gifts for friends and neighbors, teaching them the joy of giving and sharing. They baked cookies together, decorated their home with simple crafts, and learned that happiness came not just from receiving, but from creating and caring for others. These activities strengthened their bond further, creating a sense of unity and shared purpose. One snowy afternoon, John noticed a quiet moment between Mary and the girls. They were sitting together by the window, watching the snow fall softly. Anna leaned against Mary and Lily held her hand. It was a simple scene, but it spoke volumes. The girls had found comfort, guidance, and love in Mary's presence. John felt tears prick his eyes, realizing that the family they had formed was real, meaningful, and lasting. John also began to see changes in himself. With Mary's support, he felt less burdened and more confident. He could focus on work and daily responsibilities, knowing that the children were receiving the care, guidance, and attention they needed. The stress that had once weighed heavily on him was now replaced with a sense of partnership, understanding, and hope. Mary's influence extended beyond the children. She helped John reflect on his own growth, encouraging him to communicate openly, express his feelings, and embrace the joys and challenges of parenting. Through her guidance, he learned that it was okay to seek help, to lean on others, and to accept support without feeling weak or inadequate. The girls, of course, continued to thrive. They developed new skills, confidence, and resilience, inspired by Mary's patience and wisdom. They learned to solve problems, communicate their needs, and treat others with kindness and respect. John watched proudly, amazed at how much they had grown in just a few months. As the days passed, it became clear that Mary was more than just a friend or mentor. She had become a part of their family. Her presence brought balance, understanding, and love into their home, transforming it into a place of warmth and happiness. John knew that challenges would still arise, but he also knew that together they could face anything. And so, life continued, filled with laughter, learning, and love. What had begun as a surprising wish from two young girls had blossomed into a beautiful, lasting bond. Mary had not only become a guiding figure in their lives, but she had also shown them, and John, that family could be chosen, nurtured, and grown in ways beyond expectation. Time passed, and the bond between John, his daughters, and Mary grew even stronger. What had begun as a surprising wish from two young girls had transformed into a beautiful, lasting relationship. The house, once quiet and filled with echoes of loneliness, was now alive with laughter, chatter, and warmth. Anna and Lily thrived under Mary's care, and John felt a deep sense of peace he had not experienced in years. Mary's presence became a natural part of their daily lives. She helped the girls with homework, shared meals with them, and even joined in the chores around the house. But beyond these small acts, she offered guidance, love, and patience, qualities that cannot be taught but are felt in every interaction. The girls began to see her as more than a friend or mentor. They saw her as a mother figure who cared deeply for them, guided them, and inspired them to be better people. One morning, John observed a moment that brought tears to his eyes. Anna and Lily were sitting at the kitchen table, carefully preparing a small breakfast for Mary. Anna placed a plate of pancakes in front of her, while Lily added a cup of hot chocolate, smiling proudly. Mary looked at them with surprise and delight. "You two didn't have to do this," she said softly, touched by the gesture. Anna shook her head, her eyes sparkling. "We wanted to, Mary. You do so much for us, and we wanted to show you how much we care." Lily nodded enthusiastically. "You're like our mom, Mary. We love you." John stood silently in the doorway, feeling a rush of emotions. He had known the girls felt close to Mary, but hearing them express it so openly brought a sense of fulfillment he had longed for. It wasn't just about their words. It was about the connection, trust, and love that had grown between them all. Mary smiled, her eyes glistening with emotion. "Thank you, my dears. That means a lot to me. I love you both too, and I'm proud of the wonderful people you're becoming." As the weeks turned into months, their lives became filled with shared experiences, learning, and laughter. Mary continued to teach the girls about her Apache heritage, sharing stories of courage, respect, and community. The girls listened attentively, often asking questions and eagerly participating in the lessons. These teachings were more than just stories. They were lessons about life, about kindness, resilience, and the importance of family. John watched quietly, amazed at the transformation in his daughters. Anna, once shy and hesitant, now spoke confidently and expressed her thoughts openly. Lily, who had struggled with self-expression, now communicated her feelings with clarity and honesty. Mary's gentle guidance had helped the girls grow not only academically, but emotionally and socially as well. John realized that this new kind of family, formed through trust, love, and care, was giving his daughters opportunities he could not provide alone. One weekend, John decided to take the family on a special outing. They packed a picnic and drove to a nearby nature reserve, a place filled with open fields, trees, and a sparkling river. The girls ran ahead, exploring the surroundings with excitement, while Mary walked beside John, sharing her knowledge of plants, animals, and the natural world. As they walked, Anna paused to examine a bird perched on a branch. "Mary, what kind of bird is that?" she asked. Mary smiled. "That's a robin. In my culture, robins are seen as symbols of hope and new beginnings." Lily clapped her hands in delight. "Just like us. This is a new beginning for our family." John smiled quietly, feeling a sense of gratitude and fulfillment. Mary's presence had truly brought new life into their home, and he realized that this family, though unconventional, was complete in its own unique way. As the sun began to set, they sat by the river, enjoying their picnic and sharing stories. Mary encouraged the girls to reflect on their day, to notice small joys, and to appreciate the simple beauty around them. Anna and Lily listened attentively, their faces glowing with contentment. John felt a profound sense of peace. For the first time in a long while, he felt that their family was whole. In the weeks that followed, life continued with a new rhythm. Mornings were filled with shared breakfasts and laughter, afternoons with learning and play, and evenings with stories and quiet reflection. Mary became an integral part of their daily routine, providing guidance, support, and love that enriched their lives in countless ways. One evening, as they sat together by the fireplace, John reflected on how far they had come. "Mary," he said softly, "I can't thank you enough for everything you've done. You've brought so much happiness and guidance into our lives. I can see how much the girls have grown because of you." Mary shook her head gently. "John, it's not just me. It's all of us together. Family is about support, love, and shared experiences. You've been an amazing father, and the girls have so much love in their hearts. We've created this family together." The girls leaned against Mary and John, their small hands clasped around hers. Anna whispered, "We're really happy, Daddy, and we love Mary too." Lily nodded. "She's our mom now in our hearts." John felt a lump in his throat. The children's words were simple, yet they carried the weight of deep emotion and truth. Mary had become more than a caregiver. She was a part of their family, a guiding light, and a source of love and wisdom that had transformed their lives. The following months were filled with celebrations, small adventures, and shared achievements. Birthdays, holidays, and simple weekends became opportunities to create memories together. Mary encouraged the girls to express themselves through art, music, and storytelling, fostering creativity and confidence. John participated as well, learning to let go of fear and embrace the joy of family life. One particularly memorable day, they hosted a small gathering at their home. Neighbors and friends came to see the transformed household, and many commented on the warmth, happiness, and unity they observed. The girls proudly introduced Mary, explaining how she had become a part of their lives. John watched with pride and gratitude, realizing that the family they had formed was not only strong, but also inspiring to others. Mary also helped John reflect on his own journey. She reminded him that it was okay to seek help, to accept support, and to recognize that love could take many forms. He learned that being a parent did not mean doing everything alone. It meant creating an environment where children could thrive, feel loved, and grow into confident, kind individuals. Over time, the girls' admiration and love for Mary grew naturally. They looked up to her as a role model, a teacher, and a comforting presence. Mary, in turn, loved them deeply and guided them with patience and wisdom. The bond they shared was unbreakable, built on trust, respect, and the simple joys of everyday life. John realized that the initial wish of his daughters, to have Mary as their mother, had been more than just a child's fantasy. It had been a heartfelt desire for love, guidance, and connection. And through patience, understanding, and care, that wish had blossomed into a reality more beautiful than he could have imagined. One quiet evening, as the family sat together reading and sharing stories, John felt a sense of completion. The house was filled with warmth, laughter, and love. The girls were thriving, Mary was happy and engaged, and he felt a profound sense of gratitude. Their journey had not been conventional, but it had created a strong, loving family that was ready to face the future together. He looked at his daughters and Mary, and for the first time in years, John felt truly at peace. The fear and loneliness that had once weighed heavily on him were gone. In their place was hope, love, and a sense of belonging that no challenge could shake. The family they had formed was unconventional, yes, but it was real, strong, and full of promise. Mary smiled at the girls who were leaning against her, their faces glowing with happiness. "You are both amazing," she said softly. "I'm proud of you and I'm honored to be a part of your lives." Anna whispered, "We love you, Mary," Lily nodded, "and we're happy that we're all together." John felt tears of joy fill his eyes. Their words were simple, but they carried the truth of everything they had built together. Mary had become more than a friend, more than a guide. She had become family. And in that moment, John realized something profound. Family is not always defined by biology. It is defined by love, trust, care, and shared experiences. It is created through patience, understanding, and the willingness to open one's heart. And through the wish of two young girls, he had found a family that was stronger, warmer, and more complete than he had ever imagined. Their journey had begun with a surprising wish, but it had ended with a promise that no matter what challenges lay ahead, they would face them together. They had found love, guidance, and belonging in each other, and that was the true meaning of family.